All right, hey everybody, welcome to another Patreon video. And yeah, today we are going to be talking about this video that is actually not playing right now for some reason. Let's see, let's try that again. There we go. So this is a project that I recently collaborated with these people, Good Bit Studios, for these humongous screens in London. These were like really big renders, and I was in charge of doing all of the 3D of the products, and also helped a little bit with the After Effects side. We did everything in Cinema 4D, Redshift, and After Effects. And I think they used Topaz in the end to upscale because these were like I think they needed to be like 16K resolution, which you can't really work 16K in After Effects. It comes down to a halt. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this video a little bit today, and more specifically, I wanted to talk about the rendering and lighting side of things. As you can see here, we have a few of the images that I worked on in the previous state, and I wanted to focus on the oil itself because I feel like, well, to me that was the most fun to work on, and you can also see like the details that I put inside of the bottle. Obviously, you can't really see this, or you weren't able to see this in the big screens at any point, but I went ahead and did it. So we're going to talk about materials and that today. And the only other thing that I think could be interesting is talking about maybe like the cream, not for this video, but let me know in the comments if that's something that would be interesting to you. Other than that, it's just like a plastic and this label thing on the lid. Maybe some stuff for like VFX and compositing, like this one here with the hand, even though, well, uh, in the beginning, before the edit, the hand was holding the cream coming down and releasing it. You can't really didn't that was cut from the thing, so right now it's just floating there. So yeah, just let me know if there's anything else that seems interesting to see. Okay, so let's get started. We have the oil here, and as you probably know, um, we have I didn't model the product. We received the 3D CAD files or the model from the client. Of course, it obviously came in without. Wondering what's happening here. Why is this not hiding? Let me see. Yeah. Label. This is another label for some reason. No, maybe I need to. There we go. Okay, so I'm saving. Let me rename this to demo and then this one to original so I can show you, or I have something to go back to just in case. But in any case, this is how the model came in from the client. As you can see, it's really good uh, topology and all of that. I think I had to fix this, and because I think in the end I had to extrude this. Yeah, you can see the faceting here. I had to extrude this from a vector file and then wrap it around, but we were never going to be that close to the thing, and it's not even attached to the bottle itself, so I'm not even gonna waste time on that. So yeah, I did have to build the liquid, and as you can see, if I solo, the geometry is just a copy of the inside polygons of the glass, and I extruded this part inwards so that it would feel like there's a little bit of, I think it's called surface tension, that you see in real products. And then for the bubbles, is really straightforward. I grabbed and took out a spline out of this beveled edge, and then just clone a few spheres on that spline. Added some randomness, as you can see here. So this random seems to be affecting, yeah, the scale. And then this shader seems to be affecting the visibility. So just turning a few of them off, and then positioning them just like intersecting the liquid so that they would come through the bottle as you see here. Let me filter only the oil. And yeah, as you can see here, so it's probably not the most accurate way of doing it, but I mean, it looks exactly like I wanted it to look. And yeah, so that's that. I can show you real quick how I got the liquid. Let me see. Let me hide that, and then let's just go into the glass, and then I'm going to make a copy of that. And then if I go, let's hide this and go into polygon mode, you can see that there's a selection there already, but let me disable this X-ray. Okay, so we have a copy of our glass, and then all I need to do is hit UN for font selection, and that should be grabbing everything inside like so. And if it's not, you can use UF with holding shift and grab everything inside, and then UI to invert and delete the polygons, because we only need these polygons here. I'm seeing something funky here, so I'm just going to go into edge mode and select that edge loop, hit MN to dissolve, and yeah, get rid of that. So now I have, let me color this like so and enable. So I have a copy of the inside of um, my bottle. I probably don't even need, let me hide this again. I probably don't even need this or this. So, and this one, just get rid of all of that. Delete. There we go. We can go to I think it's MD to close polygon hole, and then we can do a grid. Yep. So that's what we need. And obviously, we need to grab our walls here. Maybe let's reset this to default. Yeah, let's deselect this one. Even though this part is not going to be seen, like the only part that's seen for the liquid is this here. So let's actually grab this and that UF. That's not working. UL. There we go. We can grab that. And if I enable my bottle and enable my subdivision here, remember that for liquids, I don't really know the math behind this. I just know that this is the way to do it. Right now, our inner wall of the glass or the bottle and the liquid are in exactly the same place. And we need the liquid to be in between the inner wall, the two walls of plastic of the bottle. So we can do that super easy by hitting T and disabling the Y, so that we don't scale up. We just scale in X and Z and just scale that a touch. So right now this is the outer wall and this is the inner wall. We just need to do that like so. So you can see if I color this here red, you can see that this is our inner wall here. Let me grab my doodle. Inner wall of the plastic, outer wall of the plastic, and then here in between we have the liquid here. Um, Again, I don't know the theory behind it. I just know that that's the way that it needs to be done. And then for creating that little inset thing, obviously you can do it with a bool or something. I think I even tried a volume builder, but of course, when you apply the smoothing, the edges also get smoothed, so that was a little bit more complicated. Right now, we have good topology here, so it's a little bit easier to just grab, this with a brush selection, and maybe increase and just extrude down a little bit, enable our subdivision surface, and let's disable the X-ray, and you can see how that is working. I think we need to select all of our polygons, and then UR for inverting the normals. And then of course, I believe we need some control loops to make that edge a little bit more, yeah, creased like so. If I go in here, maybe one here, let's see. Oh, I just realized that you can go grab it from here. Cool, okay. But yeah, that's pretty much how I created that. This looks a little bit perfect, so probably what I would do from here is go to modes. I don't remember if I did it on my original one, but grab the sculpting brushes, and then go to grab, and then instead of mouse, we want it in the C direction, for example. Maybe let's go to N and F so that it's a little bit easier to see the brush. Not that mouse. Yeah, it's just maybe just, you know, grabbing some of these points and making it a little bit more organic looking. So if I go here, you can see something like that. You can obviously spend a little bit more time and you can see how that went up. So maybe with the magnet tool, let me see, can we do magnet tool? Where is it? Mesh. Anyways, I think you get the gist. Just trying to make that a little bit more organic. And yeah, so this, for the liquid, we don't need inner walls. Let me just go back to my original liquid here. You can see that I moved the whole thing, offset it from the center, but it's still pretty perfect. So I didn't really add too much of that I was talking about, but I will probably do it. So we have that. Where did my bubbles go? There we go. So what was I saying? So for the liquid, yeah, the liquid, this one doesn't need inner walls, just so that we can get a nice refraction on it. And that's pretty much how I made the liquid for this. Let me take this back to here. Okay, what else? The only other thing that I obviously we didn't get was any geometry for the label, and the label for the label I just did a, let me solo this here, a plane heavily subdivided, as you can see here, and then I shrink wrapped it uh, once to the source. You can see here that I made a copy of it so that I could keep it here. And then once I got this this shape here, you can also get it from, I'm just realizing now that you can also get it from the glass source itself, or maybe I did just you know, grab some of these polygons like so, maybe like that, and like that. Then once you have your outer selection, you hit UF and holding shift. Now from there you can split it and get that. And then I added another shrink wrap here after I had the, you know, the shape. I don't know why I had this shrink wrap here, maybe just to make it get tighter to the mesh. But yeah, that's that. And then simply put um the texture. So the texture is from, let me move this in here. The texture is from a vector file. You can see it's a vector smart object. So I just copy and pasted that in here and simply made it, you know, like so. Yeah, it was blue, so I just made it like that, saved the PSD and slapped it on top. Whoop, where is my cinema? There we go. So yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. Okay, so that's that for the materials and all of, or the geometry and all of that. For the materials, let me start Redshift here, and let's see what we have. Obviously, there's nothing in the scene, so let me get a dome light going, and let's use this as a render view. So you can see that for the label, for example, if I open the label nodes, I just have my PSD into the bump map with default values, and then just using that PSD as a mask for the whole thing, and just a white 89% white material with default values all throughout for the label. The liquid is simply a transmission material. There's a scatter color here, but I'm not even using that because the depth is set to 0. So I just have this coloring inside. You can see if I remove that, there's some coloring inside. And if I hide the liquid, you can see how we see through, everything through the bottle. But if I enable the liquid, then we get some nice refraction. The bubbles and the liquid, I believe, the bubbles and the liquid, I believe, are just a standard like water material. So the IOR is set to 1.33. And what else? The two plastics is, this one is the plastic glossy, so just white in the diffuse, 78%, and some glossiness in the IOR and the roughness. And the bottom part is a little bit more rough. So for this one, I just, I started using a bump map here, but it looks like I decided not to use that in the end. So I just applied the roughness here directly in the material itself. And I'm noticing now that our glass is reflecting the label. So let me see, cast shadows, self shadows. So if I uncheck that, maybe that's a little bit more accurate. All right, cool. I think that's pretty much it for like the breakdown part of the video. Um, yeah, let me pause for a second and we'll start going into, creating this scene here. Well, here we are. It's been 2 days since I recorded that other part, just because that's how it goes when you are super busy and have 2 kids and so on and so forth. So the plan was to create a scene from scratch, but that proved to be very lengthy and not very good, because I believe that's why I stopped doing like Twitch live streams, just because I don't know, I'm not very good to work under that kind of pressure. So what we're gonna do is I am going to break down the original file that I used to create all of those different versions of the render. And then I worked on another one that you probably saw that just there with the blue walls that I'm going to break down too. Okay, so let's get started. This is the original file. As you can see, it's very simple. I just used a backdrop. I believe that, this is the backdrop from the asset browser. And the bottle is right here. Let me go over let's go to the natural stills first. As you can see, I like to use takes extensively, and for something like this it's really um, really good to use, just because I can do all of these different versions in one single file, and I don't have to worry about propagating that into different files. So here we have the product. And if I were to break down the lighting, as you can see, when using takes, I like to use folders for different lighting. So in this example, I am using a folder for studio lighting, which I don't know, maybe it's, no, yeah, it's properly. So this one is the one that's being seen. And what, let me go over what we have here. So if I disable auto take, and then I'm gonna enable each light one by one. So we have an HDR, as you can see. Let me grab this. We have this HDRI, which I believe is from, I want to say GSG, but it might be from Video Copilot. I have a pack of HDRIs that I purchased many years ago. But honestly, I almost always, like 99.9% of the time, I use Grayscale Gorilla stuff. Let me fix my clipping. So we have this HDRI, and it is not rotated in any way. So as you can see, it's pretty much default there with just white, and just reduce the intensity just so that we could get some reflections on the bottle. We have the backdrop, and then let me select the HDRI and the spot. And the spot is what is essentially the sunlight in this instance. Let me go to, yeah, this view is easier to see. So the sunlight is coming from here, and it's simply an area light with a very low spread, and it's set to temperature. I'm not even using any textures in it, but the temperature is set to 5500 Kelvin, which according to my research is the temperature of daylight. If we wanted this to be more moody, or like a sunset or sun up kind of thing, I would probably tone it down to 3800, and that should make it more orange, as you can see here. So HDRI spotlight coming in from here, and obviously the size in X and Y just fixed until I would get these lines, basically framing the product here. Spotlight, HDRI, and then we have a label light. This light is only being used by the label, and I believe it's an area light. And here I am using a texture from Grayscale Gorilla, one of their flashlights, and this is used to basically just pump up the label. If I zoom in here, you can see that it is white. You can see through it, but obviously this is a beauty product, so the client is going to want to have the label or the brand, like, 100% visible with nothing in it. That's also why I didn't add any like bumps or anything like that to this bottle, because I knew that every time that I do that, they ask me to take it off. So even though it might look more realistic, usually they want the product to look as CGI and perfect as possible. So this light just pumps up the brightness on the label, and is positioned very close to it with yeah, basically all default settings. Only the intensity is set to 16. um, and then the real hero of this thing, that you can see how the bottle looks right now, and it looks very boring, and I want to say unappealing, even though it's not a product for like food or anything like that. But you can see that it looks boring. So the main thing that I wanted to show um, with this video is the use of a card behind the bottle to create that nice gradation. And this comes from photography. If I enable everything here, you can see the difference that makes in there. If you've seen my other videos here on the channel or on this Patreon, and you saw the one with the bottle, with the Coors Light bottle that I made in Octane, at that time, I didn't use this technique, but I put a light inside of the bottle, and that kind of, did the work. But in working in this project, I found that, going with the more realistic approach of using a card behind that's only seen through refraction. So this card is, you can see everything is off, except for the cast and visibility in refractions. And if I find the material, you'll see that it's a pretty simple material with no reflection. It's only diffused, but I only adjusted the color of the diffuse a little bit so that it's not completely white. The other approach is that you keep the card white and then do the coloring in the light. That would also work. And let me show you. Let's try it. So I'm gonna do a color absolute, and let's pipe that in to here, and let's keep it white. And then if I come down here, this white card is obviously only affecting the white card. Is this light here? Let me remove the save frames, and that is what's creating the hotspot here, and then gradiating or yeah, fading towards the edges of the thing, which adds a lot to it. So if I go to the white light here, you can see that I'm using a softbox rounded corners. But let's try it. Let's put this with like a red light. You can see how that changes that. um, Obviously, the material on the plastic is also affecting the coloring here. So remember that I think I talked about this in the first part of the video. We have a transmission, and I don't think the scatter is being used at all because there's no depth here. But yeah, the transmission color is also affecting that. So it's just different ways to approach it. In this instance, it was better to just use it like so. But that is really the main trick about doing this type of beauty product renders, or even for like bottle renders. Use the refraction with something behind to create that gradation. If you don't know, let me make this my render view, and just so this comes in here. And why can't I use the doodle tool? Let me see. Doodle paint. So if you don't know in photography what they do, because obviously they don't have the ability as easy as we do in 3D to just hide things from the camera. You can see how big my card is. If I paint here, you can see the edges. But in photography, what they do is that they cut the card exactly like the same shape as the product, so it would be hidden behind. Obviously they can also do like some Photoshop after, but what I've seen is that they usually cut the shape so that it's hidden like perfectly behind, and then they position the camera so that you can't really see that. But that's that for that trick. Let me re-enable this here. And then a little bit on how I used the takes. So as you can see here, I have a natural stills, and you can see that natural front yellow, and then this two. This one is not selected, but um, these four are the ones that are being rendered. So I am simply creating this take to um, basically use it as like a group, like a grouping thing. So everything below is going to be affected by whatever I did here. So in this example, I disabled the studio lighting and enabled in render and in viewport the natural lighting. So that means that everything below is going to use that. So as you can see, we have natural front, nothing changes. And then I made a child of that and named it natural front yellow. And for that, the only thing that I did was change the material on the background. And here's another trick about the background. You can see that we're getting some reflection here. But if I go to the materials and enable my yellow background, I think I'm using it here. Let me see. Yeah, there's a linear field here, and this is simply so that I can use this as a mask to control the weight of the reflection. So if I solo this here, you'll see that we're only enabling the reflection up to here behind the product, and then everything else in the cyc behind it is only diffuse, so there's no reflection there. And let me see, if I remove that, you can see that it's very faint. I don't know if it's coming through the video, but you can see that there's a reflection here on the cyc behind it. Obviously, we don't want that. That's probably coming from the HDRI. So the easy way to do that is to use this trick of using a ramp. Obviously, you don't have to use a vertex map. You can create the ramp however you want, but using the vertex map approach, now that it's so easy to throw it in any, what do you call these type of objects, procedural objects, it's just so easy for me to control where I want that here in the viewport. And here's another trick for the node editor. If you see here, this is something that I recently discovered. I didn't know this, but this would annoy me every single time. If I uh, take this off, the weight just the weight input disappears. So every time that I would try to do this, oh, let me see how it looks without it, and let me re-enable it, I will have to go in here and then find the damn thing here. But the easier way, if you don't want anything, things, inputs to be removed from your material, is to use these circles here. And if I control or command click on it, it becomes available here in the node editor. So now I can pipe it in or take it out, and it's not going to be removed from there, which is awesome, because most of the time I am enabling these things. If I want to hide it, I believe that I can maybe alt connect node or remove port. Yeah. But yeah, that's a cool little trick. Okay, so that's that for the material. I believe, I don't know if I didn't talk about this before, but the coloring of the material, as you can see, is this yellow that we see here. It's very interesting because this yellow doesn't look anything like what we're seeing here. Maybe that's a bug. I'm using 2025 right now, and then everything else is left default. Only the only trick is using the ramp here. I believe, yeah, this is even set to 1.5, and then there's a little bit of roughness, just so that we can see that reflection here below the product. And the reason why I made it a child of this take here is because in case I wanted to change like the camera position or anything about it, the child will take everything that happens on the parent. You probably already know this about takes, but if you don't, when you make it a child, everything that happens on the parent is translated to the child, and then the only thing that I'm changing here is the material to use on the background. And then we have the natural angle. So as you can see here, I did some changes, and actually something is up here. Oh, this little guy, maybe I didn't see this before, but I think this guy needs to go up, because you can see the shadowing here. Okay, I don't want to waste too much time. I don't know what happened here, but yeah, this is pretty much the same. I only changed the location of the or the camera to use. You can see that I could have used the same camera, but in this instance, I made different cameras and then moved just some of the lights around to do that. And then the natural angle close-up is simply using another camera, or probably the same one. Yeah, it's the same B angle camera. And then I increased the subdivisions on the liquid and the, I think this is the plastic here on that. But that's that for the natural stills. And then I made some studio stills. So if I go, it's the same exact approach, only here I am using something happened here. This is not looking correct either. But anyways, the only thing that I'm using here is a different HDR, as you can see here. And then this one too, or this is only for filling in the details. If I disable that, I think it's filling in the details a little bit all throughout. It's simply a white HDR with no texture in it. And then we have a soft light here. And then the label one should be, oh, for some reason this is not set here. Let me do label. Yeah, it looks a little bit better, but yeah, let me finish up going through the lighting scenario. So the white car is the same exact thing uh, with the lighting, and then we have the label that should be making it look better, and then we have a top softbox here that is actually not using any materials, but it's a very low intensity just to give this reflection from the top, and then another area light that's creating this reflection here on the side, and then this one, the soft one here. So it's all about keeping it very nice and soft. And if I go back here to the renders, you can see, oops, how that looks here. Let me, yeah, something is up here maybe. I don't know what it is, but you can see how it looks like it's in a studio. So I wanted to get that in there too. And then the only other thing that I changed for the studio lighting was the color of the cyc. So I think that's pretty much that for this file. I also did a 360 table with the product floating in space, and this was so that I could render uh, yeah, a rotating table of the product. As you can see, this is very dependent on the angle, because you start to see these refractions that are probably accurate to real life, but in a beauty product, they don't look as good. So yeah, I think that's that for this file. I don't know that there's anything else to talk about. Um, I do use a lot of tone mapping for all of the cameras here, and then I am using very long lenses just to keep the product looking nice and not have any distortion. You can see 200, 200, 200, and this one with the angle is 90. Just, yeah, just so it doesn't get warped in any direction at all. And let me show you the final for this one. Okay, looks like it's, yeah, that's accurate as it looks. Okay. Yeah, let's go over the other file that I prepared for this that is a little bit of a different lighting scenario. Okay, so here we are in the other file, and as you can see, I wanted to try something a little bit different, and yeah, also different from what this brand usually does, but trying to still keep it in the same realm. If you look online, this brand is usually all about bright colors, bold lighting, and it's either like high contrast with like sunlight kind of stuff, or studio lighting where everything is visible. So in this instance, I wanted to do something a little bit more backlit and enhance or keep the focus on the nice lighting coming in from the bottle itself. So let me go over the scene a little bit. Set this to my camera. As you can see, we have a cube here where the product is resting. We have the same exact card behind with the light pointing at it, just so that we can get that nice gradation. You can see how different that looks. And let me actually, by the way, if you're wondering about this plugin right here that I'm using for the lights, this is from EJ Hasenfratz and it's called Light Solo. I totally recommend it because it makes doing this kind of thing for troubleshooting, or even showing you guys how something is, how I made something is really easier than, you know, having to go through all of this. If you add an underscore before the light, then Light Solo will not affect it. So that's why this one was added. But anyways, we have a dome light here, Botanical Gardens from GSG. I really lowered the intensity and even lowered the exposure, and then rotated the horizon until I had some nice reflections in here. For the color of the plinth, I simply used this nifty little feature here in the coloring. So if I go to, I believe is this, yeah. So in this circle, you can do color theory things like this is the complementary color. So I just went to the yellow and then rotated it until I got this uh, baby blue, powder blue kind of thing that complements the orange of the bottle very nicely. And this is something also that they do in their marketing. So we have the dome light, we have the label again. This time I am using a spotlight, and as you can see, the label is very bright, but I'll show you how that looks without it in a second. And then the main light is the key here. I think I was experimenting. Oh, I named it key diffuse because I took out the reflection from it, because if I enable it, you can see that we're getting just like a partial reflection, which I didn't like. So I took that off, and then we're getting this nice lighting from the backlight and the bounces of the liquid or the bottle on the white plastic, which I feel like it's really nice. I am using a target, so you can see where the key light is positioned, and then I have a target here so that it's really making this contour here. And obviously, because I removed the reflection from it, I have another light reflecting here. So that's creating just a little bit of reflection to help with the shape, the round shape of the product. I have another reflection on the other side that's creating this reflection on the bottle. You can see it here also on the white plastic. And then you can see how the plinth or the base is looking very dark here. So I simply created another area light that is pointing up, and it's a very, very low intensity. Yeah, you can see 0.17, and then I cranked up the exposure for some reason, but that's just helping give it some atmosphere maybe. I'm not really using any environment, what do you call it? Fog or anything like that um, in this file. And you can see how, actually I'm realizing this now, the key light is making it's bouncing light here from here down here to the background here. So I do have a background light that I can enable now, so we get this nice gradient. But I'm wondering now if I remove, oh, it's being seen by the reflection of the thing, right? Um, let me see. I think I can. I just wanna try it. I think we can do like exclusion, and then exclude the background. Let's disable this light, and I think this is reflections. Exclude. Let me see. This thing is so hit or miss. I never really um I try to avoid using this because it's just so difficult to control. No. Yeah. Well, I mean, in this instance, this is working just fine. So I have a light down here that is pointed towards the background um, plane that I have here, and that is what's creating this nice gradient coming from below. And that's pretty much that. The only thing that I think I'm going to do is after this is rendered, I'm gonna go into Photoshop and paint out this thin line here. That again, that's coming from the refractions. And while it's probably accurate, it doesn't look too good for a product shot. And what else? I think I have 125 again. and it's pointing up a little bit. 125 just to keep the product nice and geometric kind of. I adjusted the exposure a little bit. I'm not using any bokeh or anything like that. And then in the color correction, again, using the tone mapping just to control those highlights and reflections a little bit. For the tone mapping, 99% of the times I just use the tone mapping of the highlights. I rarely ever use the blacks. Let's see. Yeah, that doesn't look good. No lens effects and no background. So I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Obviously, pretty simple lighting scenarios, but it's a beauty product. So the hero needs to be the product and not really everything else that's happening around it. I did try in the beginning to like put plants and stuff and have like a more dynamic angle to the composition, but in the end I scrapped all of that and tried to keep it simpler and just let the product shine, as you can see. And I think it's working really nicely. So let me know in the comments, obviously, if you have any questions, and hopefully this was useful. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.